Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a brand new week. I am staying at Shaw's Hiker Hostel, and from here I'm going to plan out the 100-mile wilderness, summiting Katahdin, and at least give some thought on how I'm going to get home. So a new week and a new day begins. I know I definitely don't look like a thru hiker now with my sunglasses and my loner clothes, although it is appropriate. It's got lobsters on it, and I'm in Maine. Anyway, the owners of Shaw's are Poet and Hippie Chick. They're both thru hikers themselves, and I talked with Poet, and we basically mapped out a plan for the 100-mile wilderness. Most days are right within my preferred distance of 15 miles or less. There is one day that is 19 point something, but Poet said the last part of it is very easy and cruisy. So you got to get one long day in there. But I've got a plan for the wilderness. At Shaw's, if you want, you can stay in a yurt. I opted for a regular room. Good morning, everyone. Obviously, I'm not on trail yet. That is Shaw's behind me. The shuttle back to the trail is in about 20 minutes, and then I'm in the 100-mile wilderness. Hard to believe, 100 miles to basically A-Ball Bridge. Then get to Katahdin State Park, get your long distance hiker permit, head up Katahdin. So I'm figuring it'll take me about 7 days to get through the wilderness. I could get through faster if I really motored, but I certainly want to be safe. When you get to the state campground, you don't hike up Katahdin that day. You basically stay either at the campground or at the Birches. The Birches is for long distance hikers, but there's only 12 spots. But I've been told that if those fill up, the park rangers will try to find you someplace else to camp. So you basically spend the rest of the day there. And it is the next day that you summit Katahdin. So it seems so close yet so far away. But I'll talk to you again when I'm actually on trail. A new day begins. All right, here we go into the 100-mile wilderness. Good morning again. I was just dropped off a little while back. Me and about 8 other hikers in the 100-mile wilderness. You may actually be able to still hear cars in the background because I'm not far away from the drop-off point. But for the next 100 miles, no Neros, no zeros. I am getting a food drop-off, as I said, in 4 days. But this is it, the final stretch. Can't say a new day begins, because it has already begun. It's the real. See you later. Whenever I come to a pond, I always look for moose. Haven't spotted one yet. The ident app tells me this is star-tipped reindeer lichen. It's very lacy and it's very interesting along the trail. Star-tipped reindeer lichen. These are the Little Wilson Falls. For some strange reason, it makes me feel very close to home. I'm sitting here on the rock ledge next to the falls, eating my lunch. Best lunch spots I've had in quite a while. Here's another vantage point of the Little Wilson Falls. Very narrow, I guess you could call it a canyon that it's going into. Power of water is amazing. This is below the falls. This is a stream. And I have to do a crossing. There's the blaze over there. So, the feet aren't going to be dry. And water's not too deep, but it's moving a little quickly. So it's going to be a slow and careful process. Another wet foot stream crossing. But this one is flowing nice and slow. And you can see the bottom, which always helps. This was my last stream crossing of the day. I'm on the other side of the bank now. That rope is not official. It doesn't really help you at all. As you can see, the water is moving very quickly and you can't see the bottom. I actually went upstream a bit. Water was still moving quickly, but I could see the bottom better. And that helped with footing. But then I had to bushwhack my way back to the trail, which you might be able to make out the blaze over there. So I do know I have more stream crossings to come, but this is the last one for the day. All right, I'm 0.4 miles from the shelter, so I'm going to close things out for the day. It is starting to rain a little bit, so I do want to get to the shelter. Had several stream crossings. You can hear the stream in the background. It was kind of a long day. I mean, 15 miles is certainly in the realm of what I normally do, but I got a late start, and so I'm ending later than I like to. But you know, that's what happens when you leave a hostel, whatever the timing of their shuttle. But it was a good day, and my first day in the wilderness. So 100-mile wilderness. Once I get to the shelter, 15 miles down, 85 to go. See you tomorrow. Well, as you can probably hear, it's raining pretty hard. Got to the shelter. The shelter is absolutely packed. They're shoulder to shoulder. It's a small shelter. It only holds like 6 to 8 people, but they're shoulder to shoulder. All the prime camping sites were taken. The site that I'm at now is not the best, but it's better to have frankly, a crappy tent site than none at all. It's slanted, it's got lots of roots under me. Right now I just have the tent set up. I don't have the sleeping pad down yet. That'll help a bit, of course. I'm going to do something a little bit weird. I'm going to eat my breakfast, tomorrow's breakfast, now, because it's very easy to do. It doesn't need to be cooked. And then tomorrow morning I will actually cook the meal I would normally have now. It's late. I need to finish setting things up. I'm hungry, and it doesn't matter how you get the calories in, as long as you get the calories in. So breakfast for dinner and dinner for breakfast. See you tomorrow. Good morning, everybody. You normally don't see me like this. Obviously, I have my headlamp on. Otherwise, you wouldn't even see that red dot. Rain last night. There's still water falling from the trees. Everything is wet. I'm putting on wet socks, wet shoes. Today is actually supposed to be nice weather-wise, but it's starting off going to be a very wet day. The new day begins. Hello again, everybody. I say hello again. I don't know whether Maggie's going to include the video from me inside the tent. It's kind of hard to see. But anyway, I'm back on the trail. And even though there aren't any tall mountains in the 100-mile wilderness, there are a number of climbs. And I'm in the middle of one now. Today is supposed to be better than yesterday. No rain is predicted. And I hope I get to the campsite early enough, put up my tent, let it dry out a little bit, put out my quilt, let it dry a little bit before hitting the sack tonight. But onward we go. Isn't this a wonderful view to start your morning? This is Barren Mountain, the first of the chairbacks. For the next couple of days, I'll be going over the chairbacks. Not a one of them has an elevation over 3,000 feet. As you can see, this one is 2,670. Doesn't mean they're not challenging climbs. This, obviously, is the site of a plane crash. But the two people in the plane, a father and son, survived the crash. Apparently the trees cushioned, I guess is the best way of putting it, the fall. And both of them walked out of it alive. I don't know if the color is coming through for you on the video, but this vibrant green reminds me a lot of Ireland.
I've shared this with, I think, with her. Magda Shenandoah was with her this spring. My 18-year-old daughter shared this with me, and I was really
This is the best view that I've had all day, and indeed in several days.
So we also have, for the three of us, we do have a 3-person one.
Just to show that I was not quite done with the boulder scrambling, I just came down that. There is actually a little sign there to tell you that, yes, this is indeed the Appalachian Trail. And of course, there's the blaze. But I still have to go down there. Not quite as bad. Just do it slowly, step by step. Well, this is interesting. I started the day in the dark and I'm ending the day in the dark. I'm at a campsite, got here late. I put up my tent and I'm eating my dinner now. It was a pretty decent day. There were some sights, lots of ups and downs that were, some of them were challenging, but it was just kind of monotonous. But I'm making my way through the wilderness, one day at a time. And hopefully tomorrow won't be such a late day and you'll actually be able to see me when I close things out for the day. I wonder if I change the light to the actual white light, will you be able to see me? Well, you can, but that's not so good. Plus it attracts flies. All right, well, good night, everybody. See you tomorrow. Good morning, everybody. I am leaving the campsite that I stayed at, which is off trail. Heading to the trail now. Today's going to be a short day mileage-wise. It's going to be a big day mountain-wise. 3,000 footers. That's why it's a short mileage day, but a new day begins. This is an area known as the Hermitage. It has the last, or at least one of the last, stands of old growth white pine. These trees were intended to be used by the British Navy for the massive sailing ships. Obviously that was before the American Revolution, but they are preserved by the state of Maine. You can see a number of them. Obviously there are a lot of younger trees among this as well, but to see these white pines grow as tall as they can grow is pretty impressive. It's nice that Maine has preserved this. Look at that one that has an AT blaze on it. And imagine it being part of a ship. Another pretty little waterfall for you to enjoy. Gulf Haggis Mountain. This is the baby of the Whitecaps. As you can see, its elevation is below 3,000. I've got 3 more peaks to do today. Each of them is above 3,000. It's a tough day. I just passed a work crew a little while back. Young men and young women, my guess is mid to late 20s. Just working to improve the trail. They were working in like 4 different areas. In one area, they were putting in stepping stones in a particularly boggy area. When I say stepping stones, these were rather huge rocks, all being moved, with muscle power. In another area, a rock barrier was being put across the trail, presumed to prevent erosion. It's amazing the work that the volunteers do, and as I've said before, it makes it possible for hikers to do what we do, and many of them are hikers as well. But definitely appreciate the work they do. This is actually the 3rd peak. I did not see a sign for the 2nd peak. It might have been a little bit off trail, but I wasn't going to leave the trail just to find it. But here we go. Hay Mountain, 3rd of 4. 1 more to go. And by the way, from that one, there's a little blue blaze taking you to a view. I'm looking forward to that view. All right, Whitecap Mountain This is the highest climb in the 100-mile wilderness, and as you can see, 36,404 feet. It's literally all downhill from here until Katahdin. And speaking of Katahdin, there it is. A different view from Whitecap. I'm a flip-flopper. I still have half the trail to do. But there's just something emotional about seeing Katahdin. Unbelievable. I'm 3/10 from the shelter. So this is the end of the day video. Climbed up 4 mountains. The first one was the hardest because that's where you're doing your primary elevation gain. Second one was not fun either. Third one was the easiest. And the fourth to Whitecap Mountain wasn't too bad. The descent was a little bit challenging, but the views from Whitecap definitely made it worthwhile. Got my first view of Katahdin, fantastic. So, a good day. The shelter I'm going to, I actually was thinking about going to the next shelter, but I spent so much time looking at the views from Whitecap. I really don't want to walk late into the evening like I've done the last 2 evenings. So it's not exactly an early day, but it's an earlier day than the last 2. So tomorrow is a 19+ mile day. I've been told that after the first descent, everything gets really cruisy afterwards. I'm getting my food drop at around mile 16, so I hope it really is cruisy. But that's for tomorrow. See you then. Good morning, everybody. Today's a big mileage day. 19.7 at about the 16-mile point. My food drop will be there for the second half of the wilderness. There is one, I hate to call it a climb. It's, all the big climbs are over until Katahdin, but there's a bit of a rise. And then from there, I've been told the terrain gets pretty cruisy, which is why I was assured I'd have no problem doing almost 20 miles today. Having said that, I am starting extra early to give me time to do those miles. And so, a new day does indeed begin. I'm crossing this stream now, but as you can see, there are plenty of boulders to cross on. That's a very pretty view. I'm hiking this section of trail, and it's pretty cruisy, as those of us at the hostel were told it would be after that initial climb in the morning. But what's funny is there were 3 Sobo hikers at the shelter last night, and another Nobo and I asked them how was the trail going north. And they said, oh, it was rough, lots of roots, lots of rocks. They asked us how the trail was going south. We said, more of the same. However, since I'm on the part of the trail that they were on yesterday, and yes, there have been a couple of sections that have been rocky, and there have been a couple of sections that have been boggy. For the most part, I'm just cruising along. So if they think this was a bad section of trail, oh boy, what they're in for going north. They have no idea. That's the way it goes. I'm about 3/10 of a mile from the lean-to, which, this way. I'm not sure I told you that's what they call the shelters in New England. And when I get there, I will have hiked 23 miles today. That was not originally my intent. The tent site that I was going to stay at is supposed to be lovely, but there is rain coming. Apparently, the remnants of the tropical storm that you guys had, that I had no idea about, is heading this way. And the rain is supposed to start, by some accounts, early in the morning. Now, I have packed up a wet tent before, every hiker has, but it's not something that I like to do. So, by opting to do the extra miles, I will be staying in the lean-to, and then if the rains come, well, I'll be under a roof. Now, another thing, the prediction for how much rain is all over the place. If it's a little rain, I'll get some hiking in tomorrow. But if it's a deluge, I may end up actually doing a 0 in the shelter. Which fortunately, since I got my food dropped today, I've got plenty of food if that has to happen. I hope it doesn't, but that's something to worry about for tomorrow. But that's the day today. Pretty much done as soon as I get to the lean-to. And I will see you tomorrow. Good morning, everyone. You may notice that I have my rain jacket on, and you may be able to hear that it's raining. Right now it's raining lightly. Later today it's supposed to rain heavily. So, there's a shelter about 4.5 miles up, and there's another one 10 miles up. So, this may be the only video for the day, we'll see. And whether it's a 4.5 or 10 mile day, we'll see. But a new day begins. Now that is not something you expect to see in the 100-mile wilderness. Yes, I know that I quite possibly look like Obi-Wan Kenobi from Star Wars. It was actually a short hiking day today, 10 miles, 10 rather miserable miles. I was soaked to the skin, and it was getting pretty cold. So I went to the shelter, basically put on warm clothing. My stuff is hanging. I know it's not going to really dry. I'll be putting on cold, wet clothing tomorrow, but it's not supposed to rain tomorrow. Currently it's not raining. We're supposed to get rain again tonight. This is kind of a lull. It's not supposed to rain tomorrow, and Should be a good hiking day. But there weren't a lot of views. It was a lot of rain today as I was hiking. But instead of zeroing at the previous shelter or just doing a 4.5 mile day to the next shelter up, I went 2 shelters up and got 10.1 miles in. So it was, a reasonably productive day given the weather. So that's it for today, and I will see you tomorrow. Not looking like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Good morning, everyone. It's not raining. That's a good thing. Today I have about a 20-mile day. Or at least I hope I do. I'm going to try to do 20. If I do, it'll get me to the Herd lean-to. H-U-R, not H-E-R. That is the last lean-to of the 100-mile wilderness. Coming out of that, it'll be A-Ball Bridge, Baxter State Park, Katahdin. But got to do these 20 miles first. If I can't do the 20, there's campsites before that. But I'm starting early, and I really hope to get the 20 in. A new day begins. A little bit of mist, a little bit of mountain, a lot of bit of lake. On this fine morning. I keep looking for moose. But a beaver crossing the pond. Very nice. I just passed the shelter that was 8 miles past the shelter that I stayed at, and that I debated, whether I should push on 8 miles more or not. It's a good thing I didn't. I made the right decision yesterday. Had I hiked those extra 8 miles, it would have been a very, very challenging 8 miles. And I was wet, I was cold. You can get hypothermia in the summer. Getting the wet clothes off, putting warm clothes on, even though it was a 10-mile day. Once again, I made a bet and I won. I made the right decision yesterday. So, continue to push on today. Look at that. That is Mount Katahdin. That's where I will be in a couple of days. Hello everyone, I'm here at the Herd Brook Lean-to, which is the last shelter in the 100-mile wilderness. So that means I'm going to be hiking out of the wilderness tomorrow. I'll be going to Baxter State Park, hopefully to get a place at an area for through hikers called the Birches, and then summiting Katahdin the next day. Anyways, that is the plan. This was a 19.6 mile day, so it was a long day to get here, but it was a good day. Now, the 100-mile wilderness is not easy. It is easier than other parts of the trail because you're not talking about climbing mountains, but by no stretch of the imagination is it easy. Lots of roots, lots of rocks, lots of mud, and it makes it challenging. And because we had rain the other day, those roots and rocks were very slippery, and there was even more mud. Even if it had been completely dry, it still would have been challenging. Once again, easier, but not easy. But it's kind of exciting to be hiking out of the wilderness tomorrow. So that's it for today. I'm going to show you the brook. I'm sitting here. You can hear it in the background, of course. It's actually kind of warm. I plan on doing some washing up. But I will see you tomorrow. So I am literally sitting on a rock with water flowing around me. Washed up a little bit, my face, my hands, you name it. You don't often get to do this, but the water's pretty warm and there's plenty of it. So this is Bird Brook.